What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. So today what we're going to be getting into is some really common situations that you're going to be in if you're using off-camera flash for interiors or for real estate, architecture, whatever type of industry it is. So we're going to get into blending flash from different rooms, we're going to get into window pulls, we're going to get into just strategic editing and shooting in general. So thanks for joining, let's get into it. So we're going to start out with the most simple examples first and then work our way into some really hard, complicated editing scenarios, but in a way that's pretty simple. So if you want to learn about this stuff, make sure to watch all the way through the end to learn the most. Alright guys, before we pull it up in Lightroom, make sure to hit the subscribe button real quick before you forget. You don't want to miss out on future videos, and it helps the channel get to other people, so it would mean a lot if you do that. So the first thing we're going to do once we've got our stuff pulled up in Lightroom is we're going to change the white balance, the exposure, and fix the verticals. Okay, so for this one, we are just going to have to start off with clicking this eyedropper, clicking some of the crown molding. Looks a little weird, so I'm going to tweak it just a little bit to where it looks natural. And then I'm going to use my preset for interiors. That's pretty good. Still going to tweak it a little bit. I'm just using my keyboard to go up and down on the values. So, going to do that. Okay. Make sure that your lens correction is on. And then we're just going to fix the verticals. So, just a little bit of adjustment. This one was pretty spot on. Okay, and that's it. So, now I'm going to click this, constrain crop. I'm going to turn that off. It's already cropped. And then we go to the next image and click previous. That'll copy the settings. The reason I disable that button is for some reason from picture to picture it just shifts it a little bit. I don't know. So that's my workaround. You'll see in just a minute, but basically what we did was overpowered the interior with Flash to where we can pull the exterior view from it in Photoshop in just a minute. So now I'm just going to warm this one up a little bit because this one was primarily for the outside view. So that's it for that. We're going to go through and do this for all of the images first, and we're going to color balance it for the main section. So for this shot we used the flash on the main primary bedroom, so we're going to do the white balance for that one. And then on this one we did the flash in the bathroom. And so I'm going to change the white balance for that and get it all set. Okay, so that looks good to me. To do this while shooting, I just had my camera on a tripod. For the first photo, I did a 2-second timer, so it's nice and steady, not shaking or anything when it takes the picture. And then for the second one, I did a 10-second timer, and I literally just walked from the camera into the bathroom and did the flash at an angle to where it filled it in nicely. Okay. So we're going to copy this back to the next one. Okay. Pretty good. If you make sure your tripod's level while you're shooting, you can usually get these pretty straight, so it saves you time in editing. Alright, so disable the constrain crop, go to the next one, push previous, and we're going to white balance it for the exterior. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to speed through these on the video, but I'm just going to do the same thing for all of these photos, and then I'm going to export them in a high resolution file and pull them all up as layers in Photoshop. So I know you might be questioning this method at this point because all the images kind of look crappy, but you'll see in just a second the magic is going to happen. Alright, so this is the first picture in the set. It's super simple. This is going to be your most common scenario for using off-camera flash with your real estate photography or interiors. So we did one photo here, This flash, as you can see from these shadows on the ceiling fan, it was pretty much just taken from the camera directly at the windows, high power, super bright. The only goal for this was to fill in the windows. So now all you're gonna do is select the top layer and then click this. We're gonna change this to darken, okay? So what this does is anything that's darker than the layer under it stays, anything that's brighter goes away. That's pretty much it. So that's why we basically just overexposed the interior to where the outside window view was the only thing that was darker. So now, boom. All right, so there you go. You can keep whatever you want, but obviously for this one, I'm going to edit out the ceiling fan, so I'm just erasing it. Let me keep that highlight. Keep the highlight, get rid of those shadows. Okay, so now you can toggle it on and off and it looks great. So the main types of photos that you're gonna wanna use this window pull technique is really for if there's like a view of like the ocean, a city, or like some just like really cool landscape view, and that's a big selling point of the property. But if you're in just like a normal neighborhood, don't do all this stuff. You're not gonna be adding to the picture. You're just gonna be showing that there's a neighbor like right there. Instead, I like to just leave the windows nice and bright. All right, so I'm gonna show you the better way to do these, which is using a layer mask. You select your layer, then you click this little button that says add layer mask, okay? And then this little thing pops up right there. That shows that you have a layer mask, okay? So we're gonna click our brush and then we're gonna make sure it's set to black. And basically, if you're using a black brush, it's gonna erase things from that layer. And if you're using a white brush, it's gonna add them back. So a lot more room for error than if you were just erasing stuff like I've done in some other videos. All right, so we're on the black brush. We're just gonna bring this stuff back. We're gonna go anywhere that's not on the windows, okay? So usually there's some light on the ceiling. Yeah, get rid of that. Shadow, nice. And make sure your opacity and flow are at 100 so you're getting everything. Cleaning it up. Okay. Okay, so I'm right here. Okay. Pretty easy. All right, flatten the image, ready to go. Sometimes right here, I'll just go ahead and add a little bit of dodge and burn. So I'll add a little bit of a dodge right there. Yeah, sometimes right here, I'll add a little bit of dodging to the photo to make the window area a little bit brighter, because sometimes it gets a little bit dark. Okay, so that one's good to go. So save that. See, this stuff's pretty easy. All right, so here's the next angle of that same room. And basically this technique that I used on this one looks really simple, but it's one of these techniques that has seriously changed the game for me so much, because you're able to use one flash and light as many rooms as you want, basically. All right, so this one's got the same thing going on, except for the window view already looks really good. So all I have for this one as a second layer is this. There we go. So for this one, we're actually gonna do the opposite. We're gonna use the lighten function. So you click this to lighten. Make sure it's on the second layer on top of your normal one, okay? So there we go. Same thing, I'm gonna do a layer mask and click B to do the brush tool again. Get rid of some of this, a little bit of flash spilling out into this room that we don't want. Okay. Get rid of a little bit of extra light. Okay, and then we're good to go. Sometimes these are a little bit too hot, so what you can do to blend it more is change the opacity. You can see on this door area, when you change the opacity, it's a little bit too bright, and then right about there looks really good. All right. or you can mask it out. So let's set our opacity down. Boom. That looks really good. So this one's a little bit more complicated, but still pretty much the same thing. So we've got that layer, we've got this layer, and then we've got this layer. It's always funny seeing yourself in the picture. Sometimes I'll do like goofy poses just because it's funny later. There we go. Nice. And gonna mask it. Let's do dark mask it again. You can push these buttons and it makes the brush bigger if you don't want to have to go into your settings. All right. And here it comes. This one's a little bit weird. So this is pretty much the only way that you can keep the ambient light coming in the windows and have like really good detail on the view. You can somewhat do it with HDR, but this way is just a lot cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and use the dodge tool to kind of brighten this a little bit because it's just a little bit too dark. So there we go. I think I just did this one as a backup, so we don't really need that, to be honest. Let's scratch it. Get him out of there. So you want to make sure that it's exposed bright enough to where it doesn't look totally fake. So that's about right. So we're just going to flatten the image, and then I'm going to make the background a little bit brighter. When you're doing these off-camera flash images, a lot of times your back corner is a little bit darker than you want it to be, so I just use that dodge tool real quick to boost it and keep the window areas looking nice and bright. You could also use the burn tool and do this. So make the ceiling a little bit darker, the foreground just a little bit darker, super subtle. It's only at 8%, and then we're gonna save that. All right, you made it to the hardest one in the video. So thanks for being here. This one's like everything combined. I know it looks really simple when you see the picture edited, but 2 rooms, multiple zones of lighting, 2 windows, window pulls, everything has to look really natural. So let's get into it. So this was just one off-camera flash kind of back to the side from where I was shooting the photo in this corner. So here's our layers, those 2. All right, you can see out the window, super nice. Same with that one. And the reason I did it like this is because there's 2 sections of lighting and there's 2 big windows that I wanted to make sure were super clear. So let's go ahead and set this to darken. Okay, I'm gonna dodge it a little bit to where it's brighter. Sometimes it helps if you do this before you're doing the masking. Yeah, before I would have had to like cut out this whole window thing, but that worked really well. So the reason this works is because you're just separating the darker stuff on the layer, so whenever you make it brighter, it takes it out of the picture for the final edit. If that makes sense to y'all. Okay, that's a little dark. Okay, so you want to get anywhere that has these weird color situations going on, like the floor, out of there. Okay, so now we're gonna mask it. B for the brush. We still got the black brush, and we're getting rid of this. Get that ceiling nice and bright. All right. Pretty easy. I usually make these ceilings a little bit brighter because that makes it look a little bit more true to life. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're on to a good start. Layer number 2, darken. That looks pretty dramatic. Kind of cool. Bailey. Bailey wanted to say hi to y'all. They're up there. They're up there. Look at the camera. This looks pretty cool, to be honest. It's pretty moody looking, but for real estate, you don't really want moody looking. You want bright, natural, soft, vivid colors. Boom. So, all right, we'll get that mask on there, and we're going to, and make sure that opacity's up. Make it bigger. And we are rocking and rolling, man. Get rid of all those bad shadows. Clean it up. You want some of this light coming in through the window. So like on those areas, you don't want it to get dark on this couch. Okay. Keep it nice and light. There we go. Dodge a little bit more. We're going to flatten that. Dodge it a little bit more. Ooh, way too much. I'll usually just dodge at like 10-15%. Okay. Once again, brighten up that far area to bring it up a little bit. You want the viewer to start in the foreground and look their way through the picture. Okay, so that's pretty much it. A little bit more. Switch to burn tool. If you make your foreground a little bit darker, like in the shadows, that helps as well. Pretty simple, pretty simple. I'm gonna get rid of this vent because it doesn't really do anything for the picture, and it's not really an important feature for the selling purposes. So just gonna do content aware fill real quick, and boom, it's gone. So there's a little bonus tip. And we're gonna save this one. So as you guys see, this takes a little while to do, and while you're shooting, it's gonna take a little bit longer as well. But it's something you can offer your clients that's super valuable, especially for certain types of properties that have a view that's the selling point. Maybe it's in a really cool landscape, maybe it's in the middle of a city, maybe it's on the ocean front, whatever. This could even be something you offer as like an upgrade on top of your normal services, because it takes a while. You don't want to be doing this for every single photo you ever do on an interior, but it's definitely a really great trick to be able to do if you need it, if that's super important for the picture. It can really help your client sell the property, or it can show more of the lifestyle, the location of the property, and if you're able to offer stuff like this, you can probably make more money. So definitely worth learning. So I hope this was helpful. I know for me, whenever I was transitioning from working from a real estate photography company to doing all this stuff freelance for interior designers, architects, real estate agents, and stuff like that, it really helped me a lot to be able to think about editing while I'm shooting. So you can do all these little tricks that are going to speed up your editing, make your final image look better, and basically you're doing yourself a favor by putting in a little bit of extra work and thought into your shoots. So anyways, that's it for this one. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.